Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Do whatever you want to do and I'll start chanting.
You are now live on Facebook.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Gopi Janavallabha Giribharadhari Gopi Janavallabha Giribharadhari Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Gopi Janavallabha Giribharadhari Gopi Janavallabha Giribharadhari Shuranandana Vrajajanaranjana Suranandana Vrajajanaranjana Suranandana Vrajajanaranjana Shudhanandana Vrajajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Gopi Janavallabha Giribharadhari Gopi Janavallabha Giribharadhari Shudhanandana Vrajajanaranjana Shudhanandana Vrajajanaranjana Shudhanandana Vrajajanaranjana Shudhanandana Vrajajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Gopi Janavallabha Giribharadhari Gopi Janavallabha Giribharadhari Kishodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Shuranandana Vrajajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Punjabi Hari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Go Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. So we'll do a little more kirtan
我们再做一些 kirtan。
since I'm all set up here. Thought I was set up. Not set up properly. Not working. Give me one more minute.
不如再设置，我们再等，稍等片刻。
Give me one more. Okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Jai Go Pramanandi Hari Hari Bo Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Welcome to all of you.
欢迎大家的到来，
Good to see you.
很高兴见到你们。
So, I thought Ajita was going to be here today. No?
Ajita, I translate today.
Okay. Do we have any questions left over?
No, we finished all the questions last week.
Okay, so I taught a course in Mayapur. I think some of you were there. And there's a section on self-care.
我在玛雅谷教了一个课程，就是关于自我关爱。我想你们中的有一些人也在那儿听了这个课。
So I'm going to read a little bit and I'm going to ask you some questions. So
那么我会问大家一点的问题。
it's basically, I'm going to ask you questions that you will then ask yourself.
我问你们大家这个问题，然后你们自己问自己这些问题。
We all judge ourselves,
我们都在评判自己，
either with understanding and compassion or with criticism.
虽然我们都知道了怜悯和批评指责的一个含义。
So maybe you fail at something, and you evaluate your failure, but you can evaluate it with understanding and compassion, or you can evaluate it with self-criticism.
那虽然说你知道了评判，还有知道了怜悯，但是你却没有按照这个来对自己进行一个价值的输出。
So with understanding and compassion, you evaluate yourself. I made a mistake. I'm human. I will try. I will improve next time.
那虽然说我们大家都知道Guru Maharaj value means
Evaluate.
evaluate.
Evaluate means to.
OK, I know. Evaluate 就是我们大家虽然都在评估自己的怜悯，也在评估自己的评判。
Means to analyze.
Yes. Evaluate.
Or you can analyze yourself by thinking, I'm really stupid. I never do anything right. What's the use?
大家可能就会评判说，我很愚蠢，那么我所做的这一切有什么意义呢？
So it's natural that we judge ourselves.
对于我们评判自己，这看起来是很正常的。
Because by doing that, you can analyze how to improve.
因为通过这样做的话，你可以自我分析我们应该怎么样去做。
And we all have a conscience. So we evaluate, did I do the right thing? Did I do the wrong thing?
因为我们都是有一些特质，我们也有一些好的东西，所以我们就可以评估我们怎么样做才能让这个事情做到最好。
So the problem is not the evaluation.
所以问题不在于这个评价，就这个自我的评估，
The problem is the judgment we give to the evaluation.
而在于我们给予这个评估的一个评判。
So I did something and it was good.
我做的什么事情是好的，
But my judgment could be, I should have done it much better. So I have a negative judgment.
但我自己的评判却是我可以做得更好，所以我就对我自己的这个评估就做下了一个评判。
Or I do something bad and my judgment is, I can do it better next time.
或者我本身是做的不好的，但是我的评判却是说我下次可以做得更好，就是那个不好的事我还要把它给做得更好。
So what we did is not the problem as much as how we judge ourselves for doing that.
所以我们的问题就是在于我们对自己的行为做出了这样一些评价，然后导致了我们之后的一些做法。
So if you want to go back to Godhead in this lifetime,
所以大家如果想要回归神手，这一世回归神手的话，
and your judgments are discouraging you, then it's going to be difficult.
那么我们的评判就会让我们灰心丧气，这是我们的一个绊脚石。
If I always tell myself everything I do is wrong, everything I do is bad, that's quite discouraging.
如果我对自己说我做的每件事都是很糟糕的，我做的每件事都是不好的，那是非常令人丧气的。
If I always tell myself, oh, you tried, you did the best you can do better next time, that will encourage you to continue.
那如果我告诉自己，你在不停的努力，你下一次可以更加进步，那这个就是会很鼓舞到我们的。
Now, some of us have very high standards for ourselves.
有些人对自我的要求是非常的高的，
Some of us have standards for ourselves which are so high that we will always fail ourselves because they're too high.
因为我们对自己的要求特别的高，所以有时候我们就达不到，就老是觉得自己很挫败。
So it wouldn't matter what we do because our standards are so high, we'll always think ourselves a failure.
这并不是因为我们自己做的不好，而是因为我们的那个标准特别高，所以我们就老是觉得自己是个失败者。
High standard is not the problem, but to think that you can come to that standard sooner than you can come to it, that becomes a problem.
这个高标准并不是一个问题，但是你认为自己要很快的达到这个高标准，那个就是一个问题。
And
要快
then
速。
there's always this chance that we'll think, if I can't meet that high standard, what's the use of trying?
我们通常都会想，如果我没达到那个高标准的话，那我这些尝试有什么用呢？
So this week I chant 64 rounds.
所以这就是让我们没有办法很好的去念诵16。
And then I get discouraged because I realize next week I can't do it. I don't have a taste.
因为我们就会想啊，下个礼拜我也没办法做到，所以我们就不去尝试了。
So an unhealthy response, and we've seen this, would be just stop chanting.
所以这不是一个很健康的回应，因为我们这样会终止我们的一个努力。
My rounds can't be perfect, so I just won't chant.
那一个很好的、很完美的一个想法就是，我在努力，我在尝试。
Have you ever seen that happen with a devotee?
你们在奉献者身上看到这样的情况吗？
They do really well, but then for some reason they become frustrated. Then they just stop.
有的人其实他们是做的不错的，但是因为他们自己对自己不满意，所以他们就停下来了，就泄气。
So we want perfection, but we can't hold ourselves to perfection in the present state.
我们虽然是要达到完美，但是我们也要很现实的去根据我们目前的状态一步一步的去实现。
Another problem that comes is when we have a certain standard of perfection, we want everybody to come to that standard because we need their help.
在每一个我们达到，就是我们力所能及的达到这个完美的层面，其实我们都是需要一些帮助的。
So let's say you want to get up early.
比如说你想早起，
You want your roommate to get up early also
你就希望你的那个小组都早起，
because it's easier for you.
因为这样你们整体早起了，对你来说你就更容易早起。
And if your roommate doesn't get up early, sometimes you will keep your roommate to your own standards and become upset with them.
那如果你的室友他没有早起的话，那你就对他有一些不满意，因为你觉得他没有达到这个标准。
Have you ever done that?
你们有这样做过吗？
You set a standard, and everyone who doesn't follow your standard, you get upset with.
你设立了一个标准，然后你希望所有人都能够达到你的这个标准，然后人家没达到，你就会不高兴。
Okay. Yeah. So it's interesting because you have the ideal, which is up here, and you have what you can do, which is down here.
所以很有意思的就是你有一个理想的标准，它是在上面的，但实际上你自己的水平呢，它是在下面一些。
And if you don't deal with them properly, they become enemies of one another.
所以如果你不正确的去处理这个情况的话，那么那个目标就会成为你的敌人。
The ideal, which should inspire us, can become our enemy.
那个目标可以激励我们，它也可以成为我们的敌人。
And then the real becomes your enemy because you're focused on the ideal and you can't accept the real.
而现实呢，就是因为你设立了一个你现在还无法企及的目标，所以你觉得它成为了你的敌人。
So if you're not careful, you'll have a battle going on between the two of them.
所以那么我们的关爱就是这个关心，就是在这两者之间去想如何达成它。
Yeah. Okay. So now we have a question for you.
那现在就有一个问题要问大家：
What rules do you have for
你有什
yourself?
么？
For yourself
你对自己有什么规则？
that ends up harming you more than helping you?
那它是伤害到你，还是帮到你？
Like, what rule do you have that this is how I must be, but it's above what you can be, and then it ends up having a negative effect on you?
这个规则就是我要怎么怎么，或者我必须怎么怎么，就是这个它是怎么样影响到你的？你自己
So you
设立的
think about if you have a rule for yourself that you can't live up to, that just causes you trouble because you can't live up to it.
就大家现在想一想，你给自己设置了一些什么样的规则？它是帮助你提升呢，还是在你的前面牵绊到你？
You could write it in the chat if you're brave enough.
那大家如果足够勇敢的话，就把你们所想到的写在对话框里。
One way you could understand this is that if you have a rule that's acting negatively on you, if you didn't have that rule, the negativity wouldn't be there.
大家可以想一想，如果你有一个规则，而这个规则的话，它是对你有负面作用的，当你把这个规则去除的话，是对你有什么样的影响呢？ 李翔 said， 我想要找到自己的定位，实现自己的价值。I want to find my position and realize my value.
I want to find my position.
Position. Yes. Position means aim. My position.
Goal.
Yes. Goal. Yes.
Oh, you don't have a goal.
这个定位是指您的目标吗？就是您想实现的那个目标，还是什么？
So do you have a rule that because you don't have a goal, you can't be happy?
那你的这个规则是不是就是如果你没有实现这个定位，没有实现这个目标，你就不高兴？
Because you don't have a goal, you have to, condemn yourself. Is that your rule?
那如果因为你没达到这个目标或者定位的话，你就觉得自己不行，你是这样一个规则吗？ 李翔也
Yeah. What did she say?
She said, I don't know what's my position. I don't know. Very clearly.
How does that affect you?
那这一点如何影响到你的呢？ I don't know my nature.
Yeah, that's not what we're talking about. But I'm asking you. A lot of people don't know their nature, but some people, it it has a very negative effect because they judge themselves. Oh, I don't know my nature.
嗯
Where other people are just looking for it. So the question was, do you have a rule that you must know your nature? Otherwise, you consider yourself a failure? That's the question.
有的人他不知道自己的天赋，他就会为此很烦恼；而有的人他虽然不知道，但是他却在努力的去寻找。所以这个问题在于，就是当你觉得你不知道的时候，你对此的一个规则是什么？Her nature means her talent.
What?
Talent.
Attainment.
Yes.
I think, yeah. Do you understand what I'm asking? Because it didn't look like she understood it.
所以你知道我在询问你这个问题吗？就是你知道我现在希望你去思考什么吗？Confused. She feedback confused.
Yeah. Not having a goal, it doesn't have to affect you negatively.
没有
So
目标，
I'm asking her, does that have a negative? Is it?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Does she put herself down because she doesn't have a goal? That's the question.
但那克里马他你想
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu, can I help with this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The question is, does that cause her to put herself down?
Yeah. 就是帕布他想问的这个问题就是有没有因为您觉得您没有自己的定位，没有自己的目标，所以说呢，你就觉得这件事情影响了你自己的一个原则，就觉得你有这么一个，就刚才帕布他问的问题就是我们有没有就制定一个原则，但是呢，由于我们没有办法履行这个原则，就使得我们特别沮丧，是这样一个问题。明白，就是能理解吗？所以那个，陈翔马大姐，姑姑她就是想问您，就如果您要是觉得你没有给自己好的一个定位，不知道自己的这个定位是什么，那么这个是不是就影响了你的原则，然后使得你就觉得特别的沮丧？
You remember this discussion is about how you treat yourself.
我继续吗？打了克里马他姐。
对，你就继续吧，你就继续。
那你还记得我们的那个关于如何对待自己吗？就之前讲过的。
And we treat ourselves negatively if we set a standard for ourselves that we don't reach.
如果我们对待自己是负面的，然后我们给自己设立了一个标准，那么我们就会觉得沮丧。
And the standard we set for ourselves says to us that only we are good when we achieve this. And if we don't, we are bad. And we tell ourselves you're bad because you didn't achieve it. That's what we're talking about.
因为我们设立了这个标准，然后我们就会告诉自己，如果我达到这个标准呢，那我就是好的；如果我没达到呢，那我就不好。所以这个就是我们对自己设立的这个内在的这个规则。
And we're asking for the rule. What's your rule?
所以要问你的这个规则是什么？
If I don't have a goal, I'm bad, I'm stupid, I'm useless. Is that the rule?
所以是不是因为我没达到这个目标，所以我就很笨、很蠢，我就不好？是不是有这样一条规则在？
Because if you don't have a rule like that, then not knowing your goal is not necessarily going to really upset you that much.
因为如果我们内心没有这样一条规则的话，那即便说你还没有目标，其实也不会对你造成一个不高兴的影响。
So we have these unwritten rules we're not even aware of.
所以我们有这样一些 这些规则甚至是我们自己都没有意识到的。
To be good, you must have this or do this. That's a rule we make.
就是如果我们要好的话，我们必须要达到这样一个目标，就必须达到这样，我们才算好。我们就会有这样一些
If you say I feel bad about myself or I'm discouraged, it's probably because you created a rule that you have to be on a certain level, you have to achieve something to consider yourself acceptable or good.
是因为我们创造了一个标准，我们有一个规则，就是没有达到某一个标准，没有达到某一个目标的话，我们就不好或者怎么样，我们对自己有这样一个评判，所以是因为有这条规则在。
And if you set that rule beyond what you can achieve, then you set yourself up to fail. Internally, you set yourself up to fail.
因为如果这个你达到你的这个目标，它超出了你的一个实现能力，然后你又有这条规则的话，当你没达到的时候，你就会对自己有评判。
If I don't win the Nobel Prize, I will consider myself and my life a failure.
比如说我没有获得诺贝尔奖，那我这一生就失败了。
And everybody says to me, "Why are you so depressed?" And I say, "Because I haven't won the Nobel Prize yet, and I may never win it."
因为很多人他们看到我沮丧，看到我这个失落，然后他们就问我什么原因，就是我会说，因为我没有获得诺贝尔奖，所以我这一生就失败了。
I've created a rule for myself. The rule is to be happy. I cannot allow myself to be happy until I get the Nobel Prize. That's my rule.
因为这就是我的规则，因为我觉得我没获得诺贝尔奖，我就是个失败者，所以就这个导致了我的一个沮丧。
Some devotees have a rule that if they don't chant good rounds, they're going to be miserable all day.
有的奉献者他有一条规则，就是如果他没有念诵好的圈数的话，那他的那一天就算是不行的。
So they make themselves miserable on the day they didn't chant good rounds, because their rule says if you don't chant good rounds, you'll be miserable. So they're just following their rule.
所以他们的规则就是没有念好的话，那天就是很可怜的。所以因为有这个规则在，如果他们在念诵上做的不够好，他们就对自己有了这样一个反应。
Yeah. So, Gabrielle, I have to ask you, is your rule you can't be considered successful unless you have a PhD? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. How does that make you feel?
不如再问 Gabrielle 他那个问题，就他有一个
I think that it makes me feel like ashamed and also with low self-esteem because I restrict myself to do like share my knowledge with other people, and I know that it will be helpful. That this rule doesn't allow me to do it. For example, if I am not excellent at something, I don't do it.
Yeah.
就他如果没有做到一个卓越的话，他会觉得自己有些羞耻感。就他有这样一个规则在。
So what would be a better, if you actually if you added more self-care, then what would the new rule look like?
那如果你有更多自我关爱的话，那会有怎么样新的规则呢？
I don't know actually how to create a new rule.
因为我对那个规则太多的评判。
Well, if you did know, what would the rule be?
为什么不知道自己的这个原则？
I know what the rule is. You want me to tell you? I can choose to be what I want, whatever I decide is best. That's basically the rule.
我知道你的这个原则，你要我告诉你吗？
In other words, you may decide in your life that you want to focus on teaching Bhagavad Gita and you want to spend the time, you could get a PhD studying Bhagavad Gita, being an expert, and you decide that's what you want to do, and you make that your rule, that this is the best thing I can do, and then you're fine. right? Does that make sense?
就他是对自己设立一个很高的标准，在一个哲学上，比如说在博伽瓦台上，叫博伽瓦梵歌上，他要成为一个很专业的，像类似于博士这样级别的一个很专业的人士，而他如果没有达到这样一种水平的话，其实他对自己是不满意的，所以他就
So Gabriella might think, I don't really need a PhD to do what I'm doing.
嗯。
Did you understand what I said? You want me to say it again? Gabriella, I'm speaking, Gabriella may think I don't need a PhD to achieve what I want to achieve.
所以 Gabia 他可以想，我并不需要获得一个博士学位才能够达到我所要实现的目标。
And later on, she might think, actually, I do need a PhD to achieve what I want. Now she changes the rule. PhD is good.
而另一个就是他想，我必须要获得这个博士学位，这样我才能改变世界。就这两条不同的规则。
So Gabriella said she has a rule that makes her feel ashamed. So it's having a negative effect on her.
因为他有后面的那条规则的时候，他就会觉得如果没达到的话，他就会有羞耻感，这就会影响到他。
My point was that if we have more self-compassion, we won't create rules that cause us to experience anything negative.
所以如果我们有更多的一个自我怜悯的话，那我们就不会去创造一些让我们负性的这样一些原则。
And I think you can see, Gabriella, this rule is just, it wasn't consciously made. It was just conditionally made. Yeah, I think, well, maybe not, but I think any rule that we have that is harmful was not well thought out.
所以Gabia 就是这个规则，如果它对我们是没有益处的话，那我们就是就是可以去重新建立规则。
We may have some rules that have been developed in our lives out of false ego, just to prove ourselves to others, but they're not really of any benefit for what we want to achieve in our life. That's possible.
我们有一些规则其实并不是有利于我们的自我实现，而是只是想展示我们的假我，想要证明给别人看。
Or sometimes we need to achieve something to prove to ourselves that we're of value.
有时候我们想做一些事情，证明我们自己是有价值的。
Rather than achieve what we actually should achieve.
我们觉得自己是应该要实现这些我们设定的事情。
So we can read some more.
OK，你昆加 Vidya 说，我的规则是不断严格的要求自己，规范休息，逐步进化，做到完美的服务。My rule is keep strict, to be strict to myself and standardize my practice and gradually purified to achieve the perfect service.
So the question is, does that rule help you or hurt you? That's the question.
那么问题就是这个规则它是帮助到你呢，还是说损害到你？
Kunja, you can answer that. You can just, if you're here, if you can unmute yourself and answer that question.
你昆甲，你可以静音，你可以解除静音来回答这个问题。
I'm assuming you mean that this rule is actually harming you, because that was the question.
我假设这个问题是在影响到你吗？
这个问题实际上我给自己定这个规则，实际上在帮助我，因为我比较能接受自己存在很多冒犯，有很多不足，有很多缺点，我能接受自己现在的状态。我只是知道那个，就是说这个不是一下子就能达到某种目标的，所以我是说让自己，能逐步进化，逐步的去严格要求自己，不是一下子达到某种境地吧。
Actually, this rule is helping me. I know I have many shortcomings. but I accept my situation. I know I can't achieve my goals right now, but I gradually to approach my goal.
Yeah, so this is helpful.
Yeah, 所以这是有帮助的，
So that's good.
非常好。
But the question is, which rules do you have that are harmful? That was the question. Not which ones are helpful, but which ones are harmful.
所以我们的问题就是说，是你要看看哪一些规则是有害于你，这是我们要问的这个问题。那那些帮助到我们的，那我们就可以，就不需要去问。
Because we're trying to show that if you have a rule that's harmful for you, you should care more about yourself. So you change your rules so you don't have rules that work against you.
对，因为我们是要通过那些损害到我们的规则，我们来去更多的对自己关爱，然后来找到一些替换这些规则的一个新的规则，从而来让我们能够更好的
You
去。
want to read some more? I think PC is next, right?
Yeah, PC 说，我总是希望能平衡，我总是希望能平衡，不要处在混乱中，因为我总在混乱中。当然，通过 Gurudev 的教导，现在我比较能温暖地对待自己与环境，不要放大内在的感受，而是逐步去理解自己为什么会感觉混乱而感到焦虑。I always want to be balanced and not to be in a mess, because I'm always in 混乱 in the confusion. But by the Gurudev's teaching and guidance, now I can warmly treat myself and my circumstances. I didn't magnify my inner feelings, and I try to gradually to understand why I feel confused and anxiety.
Okay, that didn't answer the question either, but thank you for sharing that.
虽然说这没有回答那个问题，但是很感谢你的一个分享。
It looks like something may have been lost in the translation because Gabriella was the only one who understood the exercise. So you may have, I wonder if you translated it incorrectly. They were supposed to describe a rule that is harming them. They're supposed to describe a rule for which they put themselves down.
Could you please repeat the question? I'll say again.
What rules do you have that cause you to harm yourself because of those rules?
那就Guru他有一个问题，希望大家回答的，就在对话框里反馈的，就是大家就有什么样的问题，它是损害到你的，就你有什么样的规则，这个规则是损害到你的，大家把这个规则呢打在这个对话框里。
So the question wasn't what rules you have, it's the rule that causes you to put yourself down.
而不是说你有什么样，就这个规则，我们是说把你往下拉的这种规则，就大家可以把它写在对话框里。
So let's say my rule is I have to be the top student in my school, but if I'm not, I'll tell myself I'm stupid. So that rule becomes harmful for me.
就像比如说，我想成为我们班上最顶尖的那个学生，如果我没有成为的话，我就会觉得自己失败。所以，因为我就是有这样一条不利于我的一个规则，就类似于这样的。你们自己有什么样的，把它写下来。
So if we actually have self-compassion, we wouldn't have that rule because it's counterproductive. It's hurting us.
所以我们有更多的自我怜悯的话，我们就不能有这样一些规则，因为那些规则是对我们不好的。
Or we would change our attitude towards the rule so it didn't hurt us.
或者是我们对于这些规则改变我们的态度，让那些规则伤害不了我们。Dana Kelly 马塔姐，您说。
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I want to, I mean, I have to brave enough to share one. That
Okay.
is, for my japa. Well, I have a rule. I set up a rule that I need to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to chant my japa. However, I cannot sleep early, so I won't go to bed until 11 o'clock. And I have a bad sleeping quality. So when I managed to get up at 4 o'clock while I'm japa, I was very dozy. Actually, while I'm japa, I'm also cannot really have a very clear mind to chant. So that the quality of japa is not very good. So that's really frustrated me. So so then I have to change the rule. I have to allow myself to wake up a little bit late to chant. But that against another rule, that is if we don't get up early to chant the japa, then I'm not loving and care myself. So that can very hard situation here.
您自己翻译成中文吧。
OK 我说的意思就是说，我如果我就得特别的勇敢的来做这个告白哈，就是因为就这个 japa 的问题，那我呢给自己设了一个规定，就是我得清晨早起，我得4点钟念诵，但是呢我又没有办法早睡，11点钟才睡，而且睡了躺下以后还睡不着，然后这样呢就是4点钟起来以后呢，这个 japa 就弄得混混沌沌，其实念的并不好。然后呢，再又允许自己稍微晚起一点儿，可是这样呢，又违反了另外一个原则，就是我又不爱我自己了，所以弄得就很混乱了。Thank you.
So what's the new rule? What new rule do you need to
这
make?
个新的规则是什么？
The new rule is well, right now we just get up a little bit late and chant a very good quality japa. So my new rule is that doesn't matter what time of the day to chant the japa, but try to chant it in the attentive way.
Oh, that's good. And you can do that.
Yes, and that is manageable, but that's really conflicted with morning time is the best time of japa.
Yeah. So the morning time, if my rule is morning is the best time, I should get up, but then I'm not getting up, then I'm just frustrated.
Yes.
我认为我的这个规则就是，我认为早上念诵才是好的。那如果我没有早起念诵的话，我就觉得自己是很挫败的。所以刚才大家 Kelly 马太太他修正了他的一条规则，那个是会帮助到他的。
Okay, next one.
Next one 高进，我想做好 sadhana， 知道这个可以提升自己，但又做不好，所以会感到自己不好。I want to perform my sadhana, well. I know this can improve myself, but I can't do it well, so I feel bad for myself.
Yeah. So what's another rule? What's a different rule?
那另一条规则是什么呢？另一条。
You know, this is interesting also.
你也知道这很有意思。那么可以重新替换的。
All you have to do is improve your sadhana, and you won't feel bad anymore.
因为如果你想证明你自己的sadhana好的话，你就会这样的感觉，觉得自己不好。
That's one thing to think about.
这是你需要去好好思考的一点。
But if that's not possible, then you have to consider what is possible.
如果可能的话，你就去想一想，对你怎么样更加可能。
What sadhana is possible?
什么样的 sadhana 更可能
？Something that you can maintain steadily.
你可以稳定的去维系的。
And then accept that's the best you can do right now.
你就可以接受到，你就可以现在接受你的一个程度。
Doesn't mean you can't do better in the future, but this is what you can do now.
因为那不是你未来才能做到的，而是你此时此刻你就可以做得到的。
But the main thing is not to put yourself down.
你能够维系的这个程度，它不是把你拉低，就是拉低的。
Okay. Next.
Jason. Next day, Jason. Jason. Good day. I read or you read?
I'll read. I have a rule not to use the bathroom during service and that I have to shower afterwards. And I wonder if I'm damaging my body because of it. I normally wait until afterwards, but sometimes that's more than an hour.
我有一条规则，就是在服务期间我不用浴室，然后之后呢我才洗澡。我想知道是不是因为这个原因我伤害了自己的身体。我通常要等到之后，但是有时候要等1个多小时。
Well, Jason, sounds like you were a smarta Brahmin in your last life.
Guru Maharaj, sorry, pardon.
He was a smarta Brahmin in his last life.
那你一定是在上一世，你是一个很聪明的婆罗门。
Smarta Brahmin.
聪明的婆罗门。
Smarta is a Sanskrit word.
Smart 是一个梵文词。
Smarta Brahmin.
Smart means
attached to rules and regulations.
Smart 是一个梵文词，它是说达到规则的意思。
Yeah, well, that sounds like a crazy rule unless you're on the altar.
所以说对于你的神坛，你需要修正一下这个规则。
Yeah.
做 RT 要修正一下这些规则。
That's the rule if you're a pujari.
那是对普加瑞的规则，对祭
You have to
司。
have a dhoti or sari which has not been in the bathroom.
Dhoti 还有沙利都不能进入浴室。
But for regular service, then you have to do what you have to do.
那我们就可以做一些我们自己的一些能力所能及的规则。
Anyway, that sounds like a painful rule.
那听起来是一个很痛苦的一条规则。
Okay, Shirley says, I cannot let myself make any mistakes.
Shirley 他说我无法让自己犯任何错。
Shirley, you're going to have to go back to Godhead to fulfill that.
Shirley 如果你能做到的话，你就已经回归神手了。
Because that's not possible here.
因为在这个地方是不可能的。
So surely you've set yourself up to fail.
所以 Shirley 你把你自己设到一个失败的这个位置上。
And maybe you think if you make mistakes, something's wrong with you.
那所以你可以Gurudev, sorry, I didn't
Maybe
get
she
that.
thinks if she makes a mistake, something is wrong with her.
所以你可能认为你自己做了什么错的，这个是有问题的。
Well, if you didn't make any mistakes, I would say something's wrong with you. You
我们如
must
果
be a
不犯
demigod or something, not a
Yeah.
human being.
我们不犯错的话，那才是有问题的，因为那不是人，人都会犯错，就半神人啊，或者是那些人，他们可能才不犯错。
So I think surely you must be driving yourself crazy.
所以 Shirley， 我觉得你把自己搞得疯狂了。
Is she here?
Shirley， 你在吗？ Yes, she's here.
Is that true, Shirley? You're driving yourself crazy.
是不是这样的？你把自己搞得崩溃了。
I don't see her. Where is she?
I can't see her.
I'm
in the-
here.
Oh, yeah. So is that true?
是这样的
Yeah,
吗？
I'm not happy.
Yeah.
那我不
You have to
高兴，
change your rules.
你就必
change
须
your
改
rules.
变你的规则。
You know what the rule is? It's very simple. To err is human. That's the rule.
你知道这个规则是什么呢？
I learn by mistakes. That's another rule.
我通过错误来学习，这是另一条规则。
There's a saying in America, progress, not perfection.
在美国有一个谚语，就是 progress is not
Progress, comma, not perfection.
怎么翻译？
Progress, not perfection.
就这个进步并不是完美。
That's a better rule, isn't it? Progress,
是一条更加好的规则，对吗？
not perfection. A better rule.
不是完美。
Isn't it interesting how we have rules that make our lives difficult?
那所以大家有没有觉得这很有意思？我们设置了一些规则，让我们的生活变得更艰难了。
And if we change the rule, then our life won't be so difficult.
我们因为有这样一些规则，所以让我们的生活是如此的困难。
So if we care for ourselves more, we change the rule.
所以我们更加关爱自己的话，我们就要修改，要改正这些规则，要改一下。
You know something, Shirley? This is very interesting.
所以你知道吗，Shirley，这是很有意思的。
Human beings were designed to learn by making mistakes.
你是通过犯错来学习。
Every time I make a mistake, I have a joke.
有一次我犯错了，我就会开玩笑。
And it goes like this.
就像这样子。
Now I know how not to do it.
我现在知道了，我可以不那样做了。就这个犯的错就不走这
So
条
that would be a good mantra for you, Shirley.
我就对你有一个 mantra，Shirley。
Every time you make a mistake, you can laugh and say, well, now I learned how not to do it.
所以每一次当你犯错的时候，你就可以对自己笑说：“哦，我现在知道我可以不这样做了。”
You ever do something stupid? You can just chant that mantra. Well, now I know how not to do it. Or you burn your finger. Now I know how to burn my finger.
所以每次当你做了错事，或者你认为一个错的事的时候，你就可以念出这个 mantra，就是我现在知道我可以不那样做了。
Does that make sense, Shirley?
对你来说是有
Thank you so much.
So look at any rules you might have.
所以就看一下你所拥有的，你可能拥有的那些规则，
That may have a negative effect on you.
可能对你有一些负面的作用。
You know, sometimes in marriage we have rules.
在婚姻当中，我们也会有一些规则。
My wife must do whatever I say.
我的妻子必须按照我说的去做，言听计从。
That's not
不是的，
help. That's not going to help anything.
那对于事物没有帮助，
It's just going to create problems for you and for her.
对自己和他都会造成问题。
So you think, what's a better rule?
所以
Well,
就想一想更好的规则。
we talk, we discuss, we make decisions together. That's for most couples, that'll be a better rule.
就会要大家一起坐下来探讨、沟通、交流，一个更好的规则是什么？
So now after the class, you can think of all the rules you have that are
那
working against you.
课后大家就可以想一想，我们有哪一些规则是影响到我们的？
Here's our goals. And we have all kinds of rules that work against our goals. A lot of us do anyway.
像我们的标准是在上面，但是我们却有很多的规则妨碍了我们去达到这样一个标准的目标。
Here's my goal. I want to be healthy and slim.
我有一个目标是，我想变得健康，还有苗条。
And what's my rule? Eat like a pig.
但是我的一个规则是像猪一样吃，
So we have rules that work against our goals
所以我们的这个规则就会影响到我们这个目标，
or just work against our happiness, stability.
也会妨碍到我们的快乐。
Okay.
Linda, next one from Linda，他说我的标准很高，而且我很着急达到目标，甚至不惜一切，包括不在意我的身体。如果没达到，我就会很沮丧。我甚至看不到 成自己这样的规则是什么？这一点也让我很沮丧。My standard is very high, and I'm anxious to achieve my standards and my goal, even at all cost, including cost my health and my body. If I don't achieve it, I will be very depressed. But I even don't know what the rules make me like this which makes me very depressed also.
You don't have to know why. Anyway, you have to translate.
I even don't know what called.
I understand. Translate into Chinese, I meant.
Okay. Could you please? Good day. You want me to translate to Linda? What content?
No, just translate it.
Oh. I just transferred her questions to you.
Oh, you already did. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yes.
So,
我念的中文吗？这个不念的哈。Yes, I translated.
all
Yes.
right. So we have to figure out what's a better rule for Vrinda.
所以那我们就要 Linda 来想出一条更好的规则。你要找出那条更好的规则。
You have an idea, Vrinda? What's a better rule?
关于这个标准，理想，你有一个什么更好的规则吗？
That rule is fine. The problem is it's making you crazy.
那个规则还好，但是是什么让你疯狂的？就是疯狂的，就是让你不舒服的呢？
That rule for someone else may not cause them a problem.
那条规则放在别人身上，可能不会造成任何问题，
because they won't feel bad if they fail.
因为他们不会觉得对自己所做的感到
But
很骄
that
傲。
rule doesn't work for you because it makes you depressed.
但这个规则对你来说却让你变得沮丧。
You don't know what the rule should be?
你知道那个规则是什么吗？应该是什么吗？
Should I tell you what it could be?
要我告诉你吗？
Or you have an idea? Brenda, you're
或
typing
或者是
something.
你自己已经有一些想法了？你可以说，这个麦开了的。
So you go to the bottom, she typed her answer.
我在想，我是不是自己内在给自己定了一个规则，叫做我想成为大人物，如果成为不了，我就不是一个，我就是失败的。我在想，我猜测是不是这样的一个规则在妨碍着我。
I guess if I have a role in my heart is that I want to be a great man. If I don't to be that great man, then I'm a failure. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
You don't know what's a healthier rule?
所以你不知道那个更健康的一个规则是什么。
The healthy rule is if I try my best, I'm a success.
所以这个更健康的规则就是，如果我已经尽力了，那我就是成功的。
OK，
That's all. Simple.
就这样，就是这样，很简单。
OK，
Okay.
就我还有个问题，可不可以问一下？
I have another question. Can I ask more?
Okay. Ask.
我发现这一周我自我关爱之后，我能够比较活在当下的去觉知我的身体和我现在需要的一个合适的状态，但是我会发现，就是这是一个好的一个方向，但另一个方向我会发现我自己很容易 就有很多的，就是被卷入物质的这个洪流，比如说懒呐、比如说不洁净啊，比如说还有很多就是喜欢享乐呀，感官享乐啊，很多很多，然后让我觉得很惊讶。现在这种状况是我继续接受这样的状况呢，还是说慢慢的设定目标，让自己就重新好起来嘛？就让我很混乱，这个感觉，我不知道是发生了什么。
This week, after my self-care, I can feel my physical body situation and to treat it properly. But I find myself easily involved in some situation like lazy, not clean, sense gratification. I'm very surprised to this coming from my inner my heart. So if I accept my situation like this, or I must do something to or change this situation.
Yeah, well, you don't like it, so you want to make it better, so you won't be happy until you make it better. But you can make it better.
因为你想
possible.
改，因为就刚才你说到这些，你想改变，所以就会让你感到有一些的不愉快，因为你不喜欢这个现状。当然，你是可以改变的，是可能的。
Nobody who's lazy and dirty is happy.
没有一个懒惰的、不洁净的人是快乐的。
So being lazy and dirty is not about caring for yourself.
所以说懒惰或者是不洁净，它并不会鼓励到你、激励到你。
Yeah.
Sometimes we get it backwards.
所以我们当然这后有些是有些背景的。
We think we'll be happy by not doing something, but we're actually happier doing it, even though it's difficult.
有时候因为我们没有做到，所以我们不高兴、不开心。但是有时候我们会觉得做到的话，我们会觉得困难。但是我们做到了之后，我们是心里会喜悦的。
Brenda Davy, go clean your house. You'll be happy.
Brenda Davy 去清理你的房间，清洁你的房间，你会开心的。
Do you ever clean a dirty house? It makes you feel good, doesn't it?
就把你房子打扫得干干净净，就会让你感觉舒服，对吧？
Yeah. You can clean your house while you're listening to class.
就在你听课之后，就去打扫你的房间吧。
Okay.
So the next one, 林翔，林翔 also asked, 我想帮助身边的人觉醒，解脱痛苦，可我没有能力。我想在风爱瑜伽这条道路上走下去，可是我不知道往哪个路口进入。I want to help people around me awaken and to free from the misery, but I have no ability to do it. I want to keep going in Bhakti Yoga, but I don't know which which path to enter.
I mean, what service?
更多的服务。
Who's asking the question?
林翔，he 是一位马他姐还是？
It's the same point as before.
就是跟刚才相同的一些观点。
She can talk to a senior devotee about it.
你可以和一个更资深的奉献者去探讨这些。
If you ever have difficulty and you're confused, talk to a senior devotee, get help.
如果你感到迷惑，然后不清楚，那你就可以去询问一个资深奉献者获取帮助。
Okay. Next.
Next, 是来自Nikunja Vidya Mataji 的comment, his feedback. 但是我会因此经常质疑自己没有进取心，不够努力。 but I always doubt myself. I have no
Self-confidence.
I have no inner presence, not hard enough.
Have no what?
Aggressiveness. I have pushed, I didn't push myself enough.
Yeah. Well, you need to find something you're inspired to do.
所以你就需要去找那些激励你能够去做的这些东西。
But what service can you do that would inspire you to
哪
push
些
yourself?
哪些服务可以激励到你，可以推动你，让你更有进取心？
Or what service would be so inspiring that the service would push you?
这些服务是很激励人的，同时又能够推动你的。
Sometimes all that's missing is an inspiring service.
所以可能就是是不是缺少服务？
Don't spend your life without an inspiring service. It makes it difficult to be. It's difficult to be Krishna conscious if you're not inspired.
就如果我们的生活当中没有这样一些激励到我们的服务的话，就会让我们的灵修是变得困难的，让我们的服务都变得困难。
Find something inspiring.
所以要找出那些激励到我们的内容。And 林翔 also comment that all 这些规则对我造成的是困惑和焦虑。All my rules caused me confusion and anxiety.
All my goals cause me confusion and
All the rules
cause me confusion.
Yes, anxiety and anxious.
Oh, anxiety. All the rules, every single one.
这些规则是指你之前提到的那些规则吗？He mentioned before.
Yeah, just follow the rules you can follow.
那你就遵守你能遵守的那些规则。
Krishna consciousness is supposed to be blissful.
Krishna 知觉它是有用的、有益处的。
But some difficulty will be there in the beginning because we're still materially attached. It'll take time.
我们会遇到一些困难，因为我们都是受条件限制的灵魂，但是随着时间会慢慢的克服的。 And Lila Kishori Mataji said, I want to be recognized.
Oh, that should be pretty painful.
那这个是会很让人痛苦的这条规则。
So what's the rule? I won't be happy if I'm not recognized.
那这个规则是什么呢？如果我没有被认可，我就不高兴吗？
A better rule is that I serve to please Krishna.
一个更好的规则是我服务是为了取悦，而是为了取悦 Krishna。
That's the best rule.
这是一条更好的规则。
I don't serve to be honored. I serve to please Krishna.
我并不是为了荣誉而去做服务，我是为了取悦 Krishna。
Leela Kishori, in pure devotional service, that's the only thing that's allowed. We serve to please Krishna, Guru and Krishna. That's all. That's it.
所以 Lila Kishori， 我们做服务只是为了取悦 Guru， 取悦 Krishna， 这就够了。
That's the only desire.
这是唯一的愿望。
We come to Krishna consciousness to glorify Krishna, not to serve so we are glorified.
我们做服务是为了去荣耀 Krishna， 而不是让我们自己被荣耀。
The other problem is you can't control who's going to appreciate you and who's not.
另一点，你无法控制的是，你不知道哪些人他会心存感激，哪些人他不会，他会欣赏他。
If you need everyone to appreciate you, you're going to end up not liking a lot of people because a lot of people aren't going to appreciate you.
因为如果你希望得到大多数人的一个欣赏的话，那么就是，但是如果别人没有欣赏你的话，你就会为此而感到一些
Or maybe they appreciate you, but they don't tell you. Then you get upset because you think they don't.
也有可能是别人他是内心是欣赏你的，但是他没有告诉你，所以你不知道。
We did not join this movement to get something material.
我们加入到这个运动，并不是因为什么物质的原因。
And pride is the biggest material desire.
骄傲它是一个很大的物质的愿望。
So we didn't join ISKCON to inflate our egos.
所以我们并不是加入ISKCON来提高我们的假我的。
Always have to remember that.
我们得始终记住这一点。
What else?
PC 说我不知道，这是不是规则？自己心里想的与行为是一致，这是规则吗？如果我没有努力言行一致，我就会觉得自己很糟。I don't know if this is a rule. If I don't align with myself, I don't know if this is a rule. If I didn't match my words with my deeds, I would feel very bad.
Yes.
是的。
I think it's the same idea. Success. If I try my best, I'm successful.
同样的那个规则就是，如果我努力了，我就是成功的。
Another one is if I'm making progress, I'm successful.
另外一点就是，如果我进步了，我就是成功的。
Am I better this year than I was last year? Then I'm successful.
我今年比去年做的更好，我是成功的。Next one, Brajarani. 马塔吉说，每次联谊我都能从我自己身上找到不足，也能看到别人的一些事情。以前有的时候很受打扰，现在去联谊也还是能看到问题。现在心一受打扰就越来越少了。但是有时候做事情对自己还是要求挺严格的。Every time we associate, I can find my shortcomings from myself. I also can see some shortcomings from others. Before, I was very disturbed by this, but now I go to association. Although I can see some problems, but I didn't disturbed by it or less disturbed. Sometimes I do something. I still be strict with me.
So she's saying it's good, right? What she's doing is good.
所以你现在做的就是你现在做的已经都是就做得更好了，对吧？你是想表达这个吗？
Is that what she's saying?
What he say is now she has some she's very strict with herself.
It's working?
这个有帮助吗？有用吗？这条就是你对自己要求挺严格的，您觉得对您有帮助吗？
That's my assumption that it's working for her.
我有个假设，就是这对你是有作用的，有帮助的。您可以上麦说。Brajarani Mataji。
哈利波有外国人，
就
就是要求，听到了吗？
听到了，听到了。
就是有时候觉得怕自己做的不好，给别人带来就是不好的那个影响吧，就是老是有这种感觉啊，就是所以说对自己就想要求就是做的比较完美一点，就是这个意思。
I'm afraid if I didn't do it well, I will make some influence to others. So I hope myself did it perfectly.
Is that good or bad? Good effect or bad effect?
那这是有好的影响还是坏的影响呢？
就是想做的事情做的自己要求做的更完善一点吧，就是这个意思。想
那
就是有这种想法。
这个想法对你的影响是好的还是不好的呢？
是好的，感觉是好的。
Good effect. Good effect.
Good. Yeah. Okay. That's nice.
非常好，那就挺好的。
You see how any of these can be good or bad, depending on how we see them.
就是这些是好的还是坏还是不好的，那是取决于我们如何看待它。
And the point is to become aware that maybe what looks good is having a bad effect on me, and maybe I can change my attitude so it won't, or change the rule.
所以我们要做的呢，这个要点呢，就是说我们应该有觉知，就是要了解我们的这些规则，它带给我们的一个影响。如果它是不好的影响，我们就要去改变它，就改变这个规则。
Anything else?
Next one, Shirley. Shirley 说，我不允许自己犯错误，因为我认为我承担不起犯错误的后果，所以我倾向于用自责来提醒自己不要犯错误，而不是自我关爱、自我照顾。
It's a good realization.
这是一个很好的觉悟。
Okay.
Next
Should I read
one.
it? Did you read it in English, or should I read it?
I don't know myself to make mistakes because I think I can't afford the consequences of making mistakes. So I tend to use self-blame to remind myself not to make mistakes rather than self-care. Next one.
That's not, yeah, that's all right, wait a minute. Yeah. So, if we just care for ourselves more, we can naturally change the rules.
如果我们更多的关爱自己的话，其实我们就不用改变那些规则。
So, one of the main points of this exercise is to show ourselves how we can treat ourselves nicely or we can treat ourselves harshly.
所以我们的这些练习就是让我们知道我们是对待自己是很好，对待自己是好的呢，还是我们就是对自己很尖刻的。
Okay, next.
Next, 是记忆导师，记忆导师 Jurman 嘛，我也是需要勇气去表达自己和大家。其实我想阅读好国家梵歌、祷告，但我对阅读书本时很容易感到疲倦、困难，或忘记祷告，觉得自己不够真诚，可以面对 Krishna 的人。I also need courage to express myself to others. In fact, I want to read Bhagavad Gita nicely and do prayer, but I'm not very. But when I read, easily feel tired. I feel difficult, or I will forget prayer. Forget to pray. So I feel that I'm not sincere enough to face Krishna's devotees.
What would be a better belief?
那一个更好的信念是什么呢？
Better belief would be Krishna's devotees understand you, accept you.
更好的信念是 Krishna 的奉献者，他们理解你，他们接受你，相信你。
Okay, who's next?
下一个是 Pushpa Sarat Mataji。我在想轻松愉快的，我想在轻松愉快的情境下修行，不想有太大压力，但有时又会造成懒惰，怎么办 ？I want to practice in a relaxed and pleasant situation. I don't want to have too much prayer, but sometimes it will cause laziness. What should I do?
I'm not sure I understood the question.
我不是
I
太
don't want to pray too much. Is that what she said? 'Cause it makes her lazy.
就是这个问题Guru 他不是特别精确的理解，就是你是不想有太大压力，但是有时又会造成懒惰，怎么办？是说在这个情况下你更容易懒惰，还是怎么的？就是您可以上麦说一下，更多的解释一下您的问题。
What did she say?
Hare Krishna，感恩 Guru 的那个就是说，有时候，现在学习很多，就是那个作业量比较大，好像给自己的压力比较大，所以就不想那样做，就想轻松愉快一点，就是多听课，然后，就是怎么说呢？就是如果那个作业量太大，或者把自己弄得精疲力尽的，就感觉特别特别的累，然后有时候就造成自己的懒惰，就不想再去做，比如说那些作业啊什么的，就是这个意思。
Because at present our courses are I have many courses and many homework. So I feel big pressure. I don't want so much pressure. So I just want to be
Peaceful.
yes.
Yeah, so don't take so many courses.
所以就不要听那么多的课。
Don't put yourself in a situation where you can't handle all the pressure.
不要把你放到自己都hold 不住的那些情境当中去。
Some simple solution like that.
就是做一些简单的一个解决方法。
Otherwise, you have to learn how to handle the pressure.
要不你就得学习如何去面对这样的一个更多
By
压力。
trusting Krishna more as the controller.
就相信 Krishna，他可以更多的控制。
Okay, next.
下一个是规范员。
不了解。
你有想继续说的吗 ？Pushpa Sara Mataji。
no，谢谢老师，谢谢翻译。
好，那下一个就是规范原则不会放松。规范原则不会放松。Pushpa Sara Mataji said, "My regular principles, I will not. I will also strict follow it."
Okay.
那
Next.
Next, Lin Xiang. Okay, Lin Xiang said, "Thank Gurudev's answer, and I know it. Everything is for Krishna service." Yes, his comment.
Good. Okay, next.
非常好。Next from Nadia. ever just realized that I have a very interesting role. If I follow myself to be happy with
allow myself.
allow myself to be happy with who I am and accept myself where I am at right now, my spiritual master will never accept me. This thought is very destructive. At the same time, I don't even understand what signs of acceptance I'm waiting for. What will exactly be a manifestation of acceptance? And the most interesting thing is that this rule goes against everything my spiritual master teaches. Nadia 她问了一个问题，就是她说我刚刚意识到我有一个非常有趣的规则，如果我允许自己对自己感到快乐，并接受我现在的处境，我的灵性导师将永远不会接受我。这种想法非常具有破坏性，同时我甚至不知道我在等待什么样的接受信号，什么样的信号才是真正的接纳。最有趣的是，这条规则违背了我的灵性导师所教导的一切。
It's actually, in a sense, impossible not to accept yourself as you are, because that's how you are. So how could you accept yourself any other way than how you are?
所以其实困难的情境就是你没有按你所如去接纳你自己。而是想按照其他方式去接纳自己，这就是困难的地方。
Yeah. So there's some fear or something there that you won't be accepted the way you are, and you have to be some other way, which the way you are not, which is not possible.
这个困难和恐惧就在于你不是按照自己的本来面目去接受自己，而是按照其他的什么。想以其他的面目来接受你自己，这个就是问题所在。
So if I'm not acceptable the way I am, and the way I am is the way I'll always be, then I'm eternally unacceptable.
因为如果我不按照我本身的面貌来接受我自己的话，那么我永远都会觉得自己是不被接纳的。
Spanish they call that loco.
那个就会导致问题。
In Russian, what do they call it?
那个就会导致酒精，就是那个俄罗斯他们的酒精，喝酒。
Yeah, it's not a logical way of thinking.
这不是逻辑上的一个思考。
Yeah.
方式。
Acceptance doesn't mean that I don't try to be better.
接纳不是说我不去尝试变得更好。
And acceptance doesn't mean that if I fail, I don't care.
接纳是说，即便我即便我失败了，我也不在乎。
Acceptance means accepting things as they are.
接纳意味着按事物本来的面目去接受它。
And I don't know if you have this problem, but many people have the problem that they feel if people know what they're like, then people won't like them.
就是很多人他们会觉得，如果人们知道了他们真实的模样，那别人就不会喜欢他们了。
Because if I know what I'm like and I don't like myself, then I think if other people know what I'm like, they won't like me. So I have to not let anybody know what I'm like. And that doesn't work.
就是我们会觉得说，我了解我是什么样，但我不喜欢我这个样。那如果我这个样子被别人知道了的话，别人也不会喜欢我，所以我们就很恐惧去向别人展示我们真实的自己。但其实不是这样的。
Self-acceptance means accepting who I am right now at the same time, working on myself to improve.
所以接纳的意思就是说，接受我们现在本来的这个样子，同时我们又去不断的进步。
And not thinking that I have to be accepted, I have to achieve something materially.
我们的接纳不是说我们要去获取某一些物质上的东西。
You know what's so interesting? Our scriptures describe success as being Krishna conscious.
我们在经典上描述说，成功是一个success is
To be Krishna conscious.
就是成功就是有 Krishna 知觉。
And one of the basic ways we become successful is to be sincere.
那一个我们成功的一个基础就是我们要真诚。
So essentially what we're saying is if you just try to serve Krishna sincerely, your life is perfect. It's successful.
所以如果我们是真诚的去服务 Krishna 在做服务的话，其实就已经是成功了。
In spite of whatever you achieve materially or don't achieve, it has nothing to do with your success.
所以不管你取得了什么还是没取得什么，这个都不影响到你的成功。
So that's our philosophy.
这就是我们的哲学。
From my own work on myself to understand this, I just came to the realization that it's actually, in one sense, impossible not to accept yourself as you are, because that's how you are.
就从我个人的一个经验当中，我觉得说，如果我们自己不去接纳我们自己本来的一个面目的话，其实是很困难的。
And it will only cause you problems if
就
you
会
don't.
导致很多的问题。
So you don't really have a choice.
所以我们总是会有选择的。
You can condemn yourself if you want.
如果你愿意的话，你可以毁掉自己，
But that's not going to help anything.
但这对于事没有帮助。
You can fake it to show other people you're somebody you're not. But that's not going to help anything.
如果你想向别人展示那个并非真实的你的面貌，其实是不
So
健康。
it seems it doesn't leave much left to live a healthy life other than acknowledging who you are and just accepting it's okay.
就是与其说我们去努力的展示，不是我们的那个状态，不如说就接纳我们本身的自己真实的面貌。
I was thinking today that we have been given so much by Prabhupada.
我们的给予了我们这么多，
that it almost doesn't make sense to just not be rejoicing at every minute in our lives.
But I did catch the meaning. That means
Because Prabhupada has given us so much, it doesn't make sense that we wouldn't always be happy.
爬爬的给予了我们这么多，但如果我们不开心的话，这个就说不通了。
Like focusing on what I don't have, focusing on what I lack, focusing on what's wrong with me, it doesn't really make sense in the light of all that Prabhupada's given us to focus on.
因为我们把关注点都放在了我们没有获得的、我们缺少的、我们不行的这些点上，那么我们就没有关注到爬爬的他所给予到我们的这些。
Does that make sense to you?
是不是对大家说有没有道理？
It's like I just gave you an airplane, a mansion, a Mercedes-Benz, a closet full of clothes, and then you say, but Prabhu, you didn't buy me any apples. I mean, that would be ridiculous, right?
就是比如说我给了你一架飞机，给了你很多这些很好的东西，但是你却想爬布，我一些你给我一些苹果，就实际上给了你一个很好的东西，但是你却要一些
I have Prabhupada, I have Bhagavatam, I have the deities, I have the Sangha, have the holy name, and I'm focused on, oh, I'm not perfect. I can't be happy. It doesn't make sense.
就像爬爬的给了我们那么多，给我们释念博伽瓦坛，给了我们莲意，给了我们神像，给了我们圣地，但是我们却不高兴，这是说不通的。
So try to look at it that way.
所以就要以那个方式去看。
And all that energy we put into thinking what's wrong with ourselves and so forth, that's energy that could be used positively in service.
与其把我们的这个能量去看我们的不足，去看我们不好的地方，不如把我们的能量用到那些积极的方面去。
And one thing I noticed is that if a devotee puts too much energy into the negative, their service suffers a lot. Some devotees can't even do service because they get so negative. They like make themselves crazy.
就是我会发现，就是奉献者如果把他的能量都集中在那些负面的事情上，他们实际上都没有办法做服务，而且对他们的服务有很大的损害。
I've seen this so many times.
我看到了太多了。
I asked someone to do something really simple, and like months later, they haven't done it.
就是其实这是很简单的，就是只要去做就好了。
And what I asked them to do, it only takes like 5 minutes a day.
就是我让他们做的就是每天花5分钟。
So that's what happens if you get too negative.
那如果太负面了，会发生什么？
Like one of you were saying, then I don't have any energy to do the service.
那就会说我没有任何力量，没有任何能量做服务了。
As opposed to just appreciating. I'm so fortunate that I have all of this.
然后也没有办法去感激、去欣赏。
So what if I'm not the best devotee?
我不是不要在乎我是不是最好的那个奉献者。
I still have the Bhagavatam. I still have the holy name. Those are the supreme gifts.
我还有薄伽瓦坛，我还有圣名，那是我们获得的最无价的礼物。
I didn't join ISKCON to find a society where everyone will love me. That's not why I joined. I joined to serve.
我到 ISKCON 来不是说要寻找让每个人都来爱我，我到 ISKCON 来是来服务的。
I didn't join ISKCON so everyone will bow down to me.
所以我并不是到 ISKCON 来让任何人都顶拜我。
Oh, they're bowing down to him and they're not bowing down to me. That's not fair. I'm not happy. That's not why I joined ISKCON.
就你看他顶拜那个人顶拜他了，没顶拜我。你看，这个就是我的失败。这不是我们来的目的，我们来的目的是服务。
So in the light of all the nectar we have, it doesn't make sense to focus on these little things that are not really that important.
所以我们不要把精力放在这些事情上，因为那个对我们是不太重要的。
When you go back to Godhead, these things will not even register on the radar.
当你回到灵性世界的时候，这些事情就完全不会对你构成打扰。
Okay, we can stop now.
那好，今天我们的课程就可以到此结束了。
Okay. Blessings to Nadia. She's going to record the japa meditations in Russian. We don't have anybody recording them in Chinese, do we?
Recording. I recorded.
The japa, not affirmations, guided meditation.
Japa affirmations. Japa affirmation. You mean the video?
No,
The
I'll have to send me an email and I'll send it to you.
Okay. Japa affirmations. Yes.
Guided meditation, not affirmation. Well, affirmation also.
就是Guru他会发给我们那个关于加帕的那个引导的语音。
Okay.
好。
It's time to go. Haribol.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj, very much.